Welcome back to Business Hats Podcast. This episode is brought to you by SummaQuote. SummaQuote is #1 platform that I recommend for presentations. Absolutely amazing. You will never be the same if you're the contractor who've never used professional presentation to sell and pitch the jobs. Check out SummaQuote. Contractors, you can no longer provide handwritten estimates. That's the thing of the past. You have to present yourself well. It will help you closing rate and to help you sell more jobs with a higher profit margins. Now, let me introduce you to today's guest. Welcome back, everyone, to Business Hats Podcast. One day of the week where I get to wear my hat, hide my balding head, my loss of hair, my kids making fun of me all the time. Today I have a very special guest in the studio. It is going to be a great episode for anyone in sales, especially if you're a roofing, storm restoration industry. Matt Danskin have done it, and today he has very special service for roofing contractors, for sales reps. Matt, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Dimitri. It's been a long time coming. Been wanting to get together with you here.
Absolutely. So you coming to us today from Tennessee, right?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. How did you get to Tennessee? Let's talk about your background. How did you get in this crazy industry, states you work in, and what are you doing there right now?
Sure. Yeah. So I grew up learning the construction trades with my dad. He was constantly building a new house every couple of years. So I got to learn everything from footers to shingles in the construction trades. I actually came out here to Tennessee to go to college and studied business administration. When I got out of school was right as the housing market crashed. And so rather than applying my business degree with the construction knowledge, I started going into different sales avenues. So I did all sorts of different sales, from alarm sales, car sales, online marketing sales, stuff of that nature. And after a few years, once the housing market had started to rebound and construction was coming back, I found an opportunity to get into selling construction. So taking that construction knowledge that I had and the sales skills that I had learned and pairing those together. When I was doing that, actually the company I was working for opened a roofing division, and it just blew my mind. I was used to selling retail remodel projects, where the customer's paying all their money out of their checking account or getting a loan or whatever. And so when I discovered that the projects would take a day or two instead of months, and the insurance company was going to pick up 90% of the bill, I was like, I need to get into that. And started really studying the industry. Fortunately, I was able to learn a lot about roofing before I had to depend on it solely to make my living. I was able to keep doing the construction stuff that I already knew, and got into roofing. Actually, switched companies I was working with. I had a little break with the company that I was at, and went into just doing roofing, and that was really where my journey kind of accelerated with roofing, where I was operating, like I'd mentioned to you, a location for a friend of mine out in Texas. I was operating his Denver branch. So I got to do everything under the sun, not only the sales, but ordering materials, scheduling crews, pulling permits, doing quality control, all that sort of stuff, which taught me a lot. But through that is really where I started looking at how I was developing business. And that's where I developed Restoration Referral System. So it's been about 3.5 years ago, I got the news that my ex-wife wanted to move from Colorado back to Tennessee. And it was either leave my referral network of insurance agents or not have my son in my life. And so obviously came out here to Tennessee. And when I made that decision, I started having friends of mine in the industry reaching out, wanting to know what I had done, how I was able to create those referral relationships with insurance agents. And I remember talking with you actually right around that time that I was making the move, and kind of looking through, like, do I just take this knowledge and maybe go sell 5-10 million myself, or do I try to teach it to other people so we can have 100 or 1,000 people that are all doing millions in extra revenue? And so, again, obviously, kind of shows the route that I took.
Well, let's talk about college education degree that you got there. I worked with a few guys who went for a similar thing, business administration. How did it help you? Would you recommend anyone in construction to go get a degree, anything related to construction? Does it really help to be educated?
I think there are some things that I probably take for granted in learning just how businesses are set up on the accounting side, on the economics side, how marketing works, things like that. That at least gives you a little bit of knowledge, a little broad understanding of those things, so you're aware that they exist. All those things are constantly a moving target, so you kind of have to, if you need to know about marketing now, my college from 15 years ago isn't going to do me a whole lot of good, right? But at least if I understand the principles of marketing, I can say, okay, let me go learn the specifics of what I need to do right now. So would I recommend it? Probably not. I think right now, I think there's so much knowledge available online in different avenues that it doesn't make sense to go, put yourself 100 grand in debt to learn stuff that you can learn for free. But the the thing of it is, most people are not intentional about learning and growing, and that's what you need, whether you're in college or doing it on your own.
Love it. I would also add to that it's constantly way, way behind. Like your education, what they're teaching in colleges are so behind. Like everything changes so quickly. That's why I prefer going to conferences. I always say that in 2 days of conference, you learn equivalent to what you learn 6 months in college because, you have business owners, you have in front of you, you have other business owners with you who networks and will show you. I mean, think about Facebook, think about YouTube, think about Google ads. I mean, Google will change one algorithm. When they're going to start teaching it in college? Like, when do they catch up? I mean, it takes time to.
I don't know if they even bother, because by the time they teach it, it's going to be outdated anyway.
Exactly. But not only with that, I mean, look at Elon Musk now, like what's happening with him. He makes one business decision, buys one business, and it affects all his empires. I was trying to trade in my Tesla yesterday, and they're showing me Business Insider article because people who study markets, people who study big business, they don't understand what's happening and how to react. The best business owners in the world have to adapt on the go, and their degrees are not helping them. So who's going to teach it in college, and when they're going to teach it for us to learn from them if it's happening now? If you're not on top of things now, the best places to learn is conferences, online courses, even podcasts. You can learn more from podcasts today because it's real. A year later, it'll be irrelevant. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I want to touch on something from your journey. You were not a business owner. You were sales rep. We have a lot of people in the industry who wore that hat, who pretty much all in one person. So which means you wearing so many hats. You're pretty much doing the job of business owner, except the only title you don't have, that you're not the owner of the business, but you do production, you do marketing, you do customer service, you would do pretty much everything. Why would anyone do what you did instead of going and opening their own shop? What did business owner gave you? What leverage did he has for you not to open your own shop? And why would anyone be all in one sales rep versus all in one business owner?
For the situation that I was in, I went from the company that I was at. I was planning to continue working there for years and years and years. and the that kind of became unstable, where I went from planning to work there for years and years to needing to leave and or wanting to leave inside of a week. And so for me to start my own company and get licenses all over Denver and get my contractor's license and all that sort of stuff, it wasn't feasible to do in really short order. And so, I did get, my friend was kind of right in that right position where he had already gone through that whole process, but he needed somebody to step in and take the wheel of that market. But also he was able to teach me a lot. He was able to, as I was getting more familiar with the industry, he was able to help me not make a bunch of costly mistakes. So had I jumped in and started my own business at that point, I know don't say I would fail, but I would have had a lot of a lot of problems that we ended up not having because I had somebody with experience that was able to, kind of coach me through those questions and problems. Long term, I probably wouldn't have stayed in that situation, even with, had I not been moving across the country, I probably would have opened my own company before too long.
Let's assume that company is ethical. The business owners have good morals. They're not going to screw you. Who has more earning potential, business owner or sales reps in the roofing industry?
Uh,
On the smaller
for
company,
for a smaller company, the sales reps, 100%.
3-4 reps, 4-5
Yeah,
million.
I think until you get to maybe the 10 rep threshold or something like that, the owner is going to get the short end of the stick. And they have to put in a lot of work to get over that hump before now they're making more than their best salespeople.
Love it. How many sales reps understand that and realize that?
Very few. So, I mean, I get the opportunity to talk to a lot of owners and a lot of sales reps. And of course there's all the guys that are like, oh man, look at all this money they're making. And, what I like to say is as a business owner, the money you're making comes and goes. The expenses never stop. Those monthly recurring subscriptions, the invoices, all that stuff, there's money constantly going out and all they see is the money coming in. So it's definitely a different picture once you're owning the business.
And then the sales reps, I think, oftentimes make that mistake. And if you're the sales rep, this message is for you. Be very careful to think about starting an own business because so many sales reps have done it, and they have no business to own a business. If you're good in sales, scale that, become the best of the best. You can sell 3 to 5 million a year, and you can be so rich. You can have amazing lifestyle with no liability, but because of what's happening in your head, because you're counting someone else's money, and if that gets in you, like if it gets you, like you thinking about it, you cannot get over it. You're thinking that someone else is having better side of the deal. Stop it, because if you are not an entrepreneur and you're just a sales rep by mentality, by your skills, the moment you open that shop, your life will be ruined by stress. But I mean, if when we do something we're not meant to do, I mean, you know the outcome. I see so many depressed business owners, so many people who've done it instead of being loyal to the company and keep growing as a sales reps. Now they have all the headaches. And why? Just because you have some greed, because you were thinking about area of life you should not be thinking. So be very careful. What are you thinking about? Think about your path. Think about what you're getting and how you get more of it, because I promise you this: there are more business owners who make less than sales reps make less than business owners. I mean, you do have way more opportunities and way less expenses. And I'm glad that Matt said, I like how you broke it down to 10 reps, because especially if you're working for a smaller company, like 3 to 5 reps, you never know the sacrifices. You never know if your business owner, the owner of the business, have money to pay that payroll. We oftentimes judge them by, numbers that come in, but you don't see the mistakes that business owners makes, and also people in the business make, because business owners have to pay for everyone's mistake, right? Like, the employee, the sub, the office girl, the repair guy, the sales rep, they all will make mistakes, and you cannot charge them. It's unethical and it's illegal. We can't pass it to you. My next question is, a retail or storm chasing? So you've done both. You work for a company who've done retail model, and you work for restoration industry, working for insurance companies. Which has more opportunity? Which is easier? What would you do today if you started a business today?
So I probably wouldn't do either retail or storm chasing. I would do storm catching.
Okay.
I would stay in one market, and I would, obviously, like my whole bread and butter is referrals from insurance agents. Well, that works when you're staying put, right? You're not running from state to state chasing storms. But it is going to be largely driven off of insurance work. So what a lot of people don't realize is that there is constantly insurance work going on in every market, whether there's a big hailstorm or not. We just had a big storm kind of roll through town this morning, and I think it's going to come hit again here in like an hour. And I guarantee that there's branches falling on houses, there's shingles blowing off, there's water getting in people's houses and buildings. And that's, if you got the insurance company paying for it, the metaphor I like to use is like I used to sell cars years ago. And if somebody told me, you've got this car that's worth $15,000, you can sell it for $1,000, and you got a whole lot full of them. Well, how many are you going to sell? Like, that is the easiest value proposition in the world. Somebody comes on the lot. Do you want this $15,000 value for $1,000? Yeah, obviously I do. I mean, they're going to want to buy as many as they can. They're not just going to want to buy one. So,
The saying, there's no school for roofers. There's no roofing school. Well, it's actually not true. There is a roofing school, and it has been around for years, for a couple of years to be exact. It's online school for roofers, roofing-school.com. Roofing school helps roofers become better business owners, because roofing business is not about roofing trade. You might be really good at installing shingles on top of the roof. It's good for you that you're not afraid of heights, that you're willing to work long hours, but that's not going to make you successful. Unfortunately, we respect the trade, we respect the workers, the crew, the installers, but those installers often fail when they don't know their numbers, when they don't understand the process, when they don't know how to present themselves and how to compete with the salespeople in the roofing industry. That's what roofing school is all about. I highly recommend roofing school. I started it a couple years ago, but I'm not the only teacher. Inside roofing school, you will find a lot of content from companies that we travel to. We travel to over 100 companies, and we also have other teachers like Ben Minchaka, who passed away last year. Becca Switzer will teach you recruiting, and few others amazing speakers and trainers who will help you understand how to be successful in this game we call business. Because doesn't matter how good you are with your hands, with your hammer, how fast you install those shingles, if you don't understand accounting, if you don't understand sales, administration, you will for sure fail and become part of the statistics. Our goal is to help as many roofers to become successful contractors as possible. We already graduated over 300. It's online school. It's very affordable. Starts at just $49 for all content. We will help you with the forms, contracts, and at higher packages at $399 a month, we will create marketing materials for you. Unlimited graphic design will help you with flyers, vehicle wraps, yard signs, anything you need to be successful at the sale, at the door, and in your office. Sign up for roofing school today, and I will see you inside.
Roofs aren't usually as exciting as a new car for people, but it is still a crazy value proposition. And so for me, I can sell retail. I have sold retail, but I prefer to focus on that insurance work because it is such an easy sale, quote unquote, easy sale. But I don't believe, for me, I wouldn't chase storms from one market to the next.
Why do you think so many storm chasers struggle to build their presence in one city? I never could understand, because you can do, like my company, we're doing, north of $4 million per year every year. There's plenty of work almost in any city in the United States. Every city has roofs, right? Like you're not going to find a city that doesn't have roofs. And with that, any company can build $5 million location. I mean, if the city has at least 1 million people, which is most cities, right? Like, in most states,
Sure.
you can build $5 million model. Now, when the storm comes, you can scale it to 15 million in one season with the bonuses of a storm work. On the slow end, you still can, but what I see companies doing 5 million, 15 million, 25, and back to one, or go out of business. In markets like Minneapolis, in markets like Chicago, no storm, no work. How do you build that network? And how do you always stay busy in one city, storms or no storms?
I think there is a widespread mentality around this kind of hunting style, right? I'm going to go out and knock doors. I'm going to go club it over the head. I'm going to drag it home, and I've got something to eat right now. And you can sell a lot of roofs that way. You can get a lot of business that way. But the second that those opportunities aren't there, you're toast. And you don't have any kind of momentum carrying you forward. Whether it's referrals from insurance agents, or it's solid branding, or, it's good SEO, stuff like that. I think because roofing, the wins are so easy and they're so big that people get spoiled and they go, oh, okay, it's always going to be this easy. It's always going to be, awesome. And so they don't do those kind of more what I would call farming techniques of like, I'm going to do the work that isn't maybe necessarily all that exciting. It's not all that, it's not a huge win right out of the gate. But I'm going to do that work, and, you'll see the crops keep coming back every year. And you just have to do a little bit of work, and you've got a lot of bounty from it. And so the guys that do that, I think they quietly do that work. And they let all these door knockers and storm chasers and whatever run around and go up and down and up and down. But I think that is, that's the way, obviously with us, it's creating that network of insurance agents, which you're doing one at a time. It's not a managed repair program where you get 1,000 insurance agents on day one. But you can go get one agent today and get another agent tomorrow. And pretty soon you've got a kind of flywheel of business that's coming in.
Love it. I see two types of people in this industry, both salespeople and business owners. What I see is, I call them lottery winners, and I call them, or true entrepreneurs. And this is how most people look at the storms in the industry. And would you agree that salespeople get spoiled by storms? Like, I've seen it way too many times. Like, storm comes through and it's a low hanging fruit. So they go out. For them, for business owner, it's just opportunity, come and go. They're going to go and get the most out of it. But for lottery winner ticket, right? They're going to go, it's like, oh, I won the lottery. And they become lazy. They don't have financial literacy to get something out of it, reinvest the profits, repeat it, build something so later they don't have to do it ever again. Because on one storm, you can build a company. And I've seen it so many times where a business owner goes after one storm, creates a company, builds a location, never chase storms again, and stays there for next 10 years. He's entrepreneur.
Yeah.
But then I see a lottery winner guy goes in, in 1 week sign ups 25 jobs. Now he has a big check, he has commissions coming in. And then instead of doing something with it, he is thinking, when can I repeat it again? And now you see people going from Florida to Colorado to Minneapolis, and they chase this lottery winning strategy. But how do you win the lottery? There it's gimmicky. It's never the same. And then I've seen people come into Minneapolis after a great storm. Is like, it's not good enough, and go out. I'm like, are you kidding me? It just because now they have expectations. Storm in Colorado was good because it was 2.5 inches, and now everything will be compared to it. Do you agree with that analogy? And do you see that as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously when there's big storms, companies need to hire to expand their capacity, right?
Of course.
And so I think a lot of people come into this industry in that season of surplus, right? And when they can walk down the street and you've literally got homeowners coming up to you on the street and saying, "Hey, can you look at my roof?" And so you get people start to be successful there that maybe don't have what it takes to work in a quote unquote down season. You look at Colorado is a great example. The last 3 years in Colorado have been underwhelming, you could say. I think the contractors there would agree. But at the same time, if you had the storms in Tennessee here that they've had in their worst of 3 years in Colorado, these guys would be over the moon.
Mm-hmm.
And, and there are more contractors in Colorado, of course. But it's, just kind of that standard that you're used to whether you have to hunt hard or not. So if you've got it really easy, you're not going to survive those hard times.
And I do see a lot of depressed contractors in Chicago and Colorado in the last few years, and a lot of them went out of business because of that. How can you help them, and what is it that you do to help them with all year round work? And is there such a thing as all year round work? Who's your most successful clients and the best case studies? Someone who adopted it, built a network, and now all year round, they're not a retail company. They work with insurance companies, but work never stops.
Yeah, I mean, I would say most of my clients are getting work from their agents all year round. I've got some of my like kind of hero clients, right? Like that. I've got one of my clients that started going after Chubb agents and got invited to a regional Chubb meeting.
Wow, that's big.
with like 100 Chubb agents all at once in his area. And all he does is work with Chubb, Pure, and Nationwide Private Client. Like if somebody comes up to him on the street, "Hey, I've got farmer's insurance. Can you do my roof? I got a check in hand." He's like, "Sorry, here, let me refer you to somebody else." And he has one of the most profitable and efficient businesses you can imagine. So that's kind of like best case scenario. I would say one of my favorite kind of client journeys that I've seen is a fairly small company out in Ohio that I work with. The owner and a couple of the sales reps, who are actually a couple, came to one of my retreats and really just bought into building that network of insurance agents and used our process to get appointments with them, used our process to actually close and convert those insurance agents. And they went from, the two of them, I think combined were making less than $100,000 before that to, I don't know their exact income. I know what their sales are. And I'd say they're probably making around $300,000 and they're working less hours.
Nice.
And they're a lot happier. So those are the type of stories that I love to see. And as kind of a sales business development sort of training, obviously a lot of it's about having, increasing revenue, increasing profitability. But to me, being able to take control over their time and their work-life balance and all those types of things in a healthy way is just as important.
Love it. How does someone get into the space? Let's say, because I do have a lot of guys in my network, in my audience, who only retail. A lot of guys
Hmm.
up north, Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh, New York, all of those areas. They don't get a lot of storms. It's not traditional storm market. So they
Yeah.
do have a lot of insurance claims. State Farm and Allstate and all the Chubb's going to have a presence there, but they don't work with the insurance companies. They see competition when storm hits. They see companies coming in, eating that cake, and they're not even invited to the party. How does someone like that enter the space, utilize your network, and where do they start? Do you go to local State Farm office, knock at the door, and say, "I want to work with you"? What do you say?
Uh, well, I don't think I'd have much of a program if that was our pitch, but no, I'm just playing with you.
Mhm.
No, I think whether they work with us or not, I think insurance agents are a great way to get referrals. In a competitive market like Dallas or Denver or Minneapolis, if you don't have your approach and your pitch on point, that gatekeeper is going to stop you in your tracks. They're going to be very steep hill to climb. Uh, in a less competitive market where there's maybe not a lot of storms going on, you mentioned like Pennsylvania and stuff like that. It's going to be a lot easier to get in with those insurance agents. So you may get by with stopping by unannounced. Um, I see a lot of guys, and this was kind of the way I first started approaching it, that are bringing a box of donuts and a stack of business cards, or a jar of candy, or, taking them to lunch or coffee and all that sort of stuff. I think that is, really just a symptom that you're not providing a lot of value in exchange there. Um, and so I think if you're wanting to get into insurance work, getting those referrals from insurance agents are a great way to do that. Again, whether you're using our system or not.
How much insurance adjusters make?
Adjusters or agents?
Do you usually get work from adjusters or agents?
Agents.
Okay, who makes more, adjusters or agents?
Uh, Usually agents.
Agents.
Yeah.
And what's the key? My question would be about adjusters. Can your relationship with adjuster ruin your relationship with agent? Uh, do you remember the video with the Raymond filming adjuster in the field, the famous one, Raymond Little, when he confrontational video. So let's say you film some argument with adjuster, it goes viral. Do you
Hmm.
think it can hurt you with your relationships with the agents later?
I think I'm not sure of the exact exchange you're talking about, but I think if you're acting unprofessional, absolutely that'll hurt your business relationships. I think whether it's an argument that you're having with an adjuster, professionally, or just you're estimating and supplementing practices. I was always one of the very most expensive people in any market that I've worked. But yet I got most of my work from referrals from insurance agents. Um, I think you need to be able to explain your numbers and back them up with facts and evidence. So if I can say, yes, we need to be paid to replace the step flashing, here's in the code where it says that we can't reuse this because it's perforated or it's damaged. Here's photos showing that it was damaged. Here's photos showing that we took it off and photos that we replaced it. So it'd be kind of crazy not to pay that, right? Well, if I can't back that up, that adjuster may win that argument and make it look like I'm trying to overcharge the customer or something of that nature. So I think so long as you can act professional and back up why you're charging what you're charging, you're not charging for a porta potty that you're not actually going to have on site. I think you absolutely can charge a premium.
What about what about agents push expectations? Do they expect you to give them a deal? Do they expect you? Can they help you with the argument with the adjuster? Because we all know the story. You're gonna argue with the adjuster. Where do agents usually stay in that argument? Whose sides do they pick? Do they act like hey, I'm giving you jobs, give me a break, or, I'm giving you so much work, work with me. Why you always asking for more? Where do agents come in that argument? Do they help?
Yeah. So it's going to depend on how you set up that relationship to begin with. So if you set the standard ahead of time that I'm going to estimate this properly and fully, and I'm going to be able to back up everything that I'm doing. And if we're getting something that's not approved and I can show you why it needs to be approved, I want you to go to bat for your client. Will you do that? And you can hold their feet to the fire. And agents can be very, very effective at not only applying pressure to the carrier and to the adjusters and their bosses, but to knowing the inner workings of their particular carrier and knowing how to get a hold of the adjuster's boss or the adjuster's boss's boss. So yeah, they can be very, very effective if you set that relationship up right before you're in a jam. I see a lot of guys that are trying to reach out to an agent after they're in a problem and they've never talked to this agent before. And that agent's probably going to side with the carrier that they work for that signs their checks. They're going to side with that adjuster that they've worked on with a bunch of claims already. If an agent wants you to discount your pricing, and you know your numbers and you know why your numbers are your numbers, that's not an agent I would recommend working with.
How often does that happen?
I would say the way that we approach it's maybe 10, 20% of the time.
10, 20%. What kind of personalities usually deal with the agents? The contractors have different personalities, but what kind of agents and what kind of, I guess, business habits do they have? How do they approach their clients? What do they like every day? Like if I want to approach typical agent, what should I know about general perception of them from someone who've dealt with them on a regular basis? What do they like? What they don't like? What's important to them? How to please the agent, if you will.
Yeah. So in terms of the personalities, I would say the people that I see that are most successful are those that can routinely do kind of the process. The process that we teach or their process, whatever it is, they can do that consistently. And they can do that, just like that farming metaphor. You can go out and hunt once a year, right? Like, and go kill something. You're farming, you need to get up every day. You need to put the work in. So those people I would say are the most effective. You mentioned like, what do those agents want? That is really at the core of what we do in the success that I had, my clients have had, is focusing very intently on what insurance agents actually want and delivering on those things and selling to those things. Most people just go in there and start vomiting up about, we're A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau and we're triple double platinum preferred with our shingle manufacturer and blah, blah, blah. And it sounds like everybody else that's ever come in their office. And two, it's not things that they actually care about. They don't care that you've been in business for 35 years. Now that's cool, but that's not what's going to get them excited about referring you over the other guy who's been in business for 25 years. We focus on 6 things, which would be convenience, customer service and communication, quality work, client retention, and bringing that agent new business. Now, did I say 5 there or 6?
I think 5.
5? It's early in the morning. You got me off track here.
Did you work out today?
I did. Yeah.
So you should be ready to go. What's the problem?
I did. Yeah. I got up at 4. My pre-workout's wearing off on me. Yeah.
So you're tired already.
Yeah, I am getting tired a little bit. The point is there, that we are, we're focusing on not only doing those things in our business, but on focusing on those in the way that and trust. Oh my gosh. Integrity and trust. That's a pretty important thing there. On delivering those things. Most of those things, every contractor that walks in is going to talk about their quality work. They're going to talk about their customer service and communication, the fact that they have integrity and they can be trusted. it is exceptionally rare that contractors are actually good at referring business to the agents that they work with. And so we focus on making that systematic in the processes in our business so that happens every single day.
Love it. How does someone start? Like in this, like let's say I've been doing construction work for years. I've never worked with agents. Would you recommend going after big players? You know, the agents who have billboards, and I don't know. You go to a restaurant and there's going to be in the bathroom ad for your State Farm agent, or start small. Where do you start?
You can. I don't think it matters where you start. Most guys' problem isn't that they started in the wrong spot; it's that they didn't start. Right. And so there's benefits to working with small agents and there's benefits to working with big agents. I would say if you're going to build a network of insurance agents, say that's 20 insurance agents per salesperson in your organization. They are going to cover them up with work. They are going to be working as much as they can possibly handle. They're probably going to yell uncle and tell you to back off of it a little bit with 20 agents that are actually referring you business. And so if you go into it saying, I'm going to have 20 agents for myself as a salesperson, do I want those with good carriers or bad carriers? Well, the answer obviously is good carriers. That good carrier may pay a 50% margin versus a bad carrier that wants to pay a 30% margin. When you counting your money at the end of the day, that job that paid 50% margin has a lot left on the bone, lot more meat left on the bone. And so that's what I want to fill my bandwidth with. Whether it's big agents, small agents, I would say the rule of thumb, focus on good carriers. And when you're meeting with those insurance agents, make sure that you're finding out kind of their philosophy around insurance, how they treat their customers, how they think claims should be paid, and find people that are aligned with you there as well.
Why not to go after adjusters? Because adjusters are the ones who adjusting claims every day. Don't adjuster have more referrals than agents would have?
They probably do have more referrals. Most adjusters, whether it's a TPA or a staff adjuster, have specific rules around referring contractors. And so I've had many adjusters won't even, and it differs based on the company you're working with and the state that you're in. But there's a lot of adjusters won't touch your business card. Like they won't take your business card. I'll take a picture of it. I'm not going to touch it. I'm not going to put it in my truck because then it'll look like I'm referring you out. Okay, cool. Like take my information, whatever. But most of them are guided. If they are allowed to refer, it's through like a preferred contractor network or a managed repair program, something along those lines that is going to restrict your ability to properly advocate for your client and for that claim.
Love it. Give advice to a startup, a roofing contractor, first year in business. What advice do you have for them who is trying to learn the business, find more jobs in the first year?
So I actually put out a post on this the other day, just talking about like, hey, if I were going to start a business right now, this is what I would do, type of a thing. I think in most of these things you can accomplish inside of a week. Obviously, you've got to get your license, your insurance, all that sort of stuff. I would put together a brand guide. There's tools online where you can put that together in an hour, right? With your logos. There's people that will help you with that stuff if you need it. I would set up my Google business profile. I would set up my social media channels, and I would schedule content to go out on all of those at least once a week for the next 6 months. You could sit down for a day and do that. Super simple, right? It's a farming technique that most people are going to skip. And then 6 months from now, they're going to have no momentum built. But do those little things there. I would put together.
I want to interrupt you. Do you consider yourself as a content creator?
Yeah.
Love it. I mean, you have a studio. Obviously, you invested, like you even have a person behind. I love it behind the camera because it tells me that you are taking it to the next level. Explain why did you do that? Why not just go on Facebook Live, and why not, make videos while you're driving to work? Why take the time to do this on this level?
Yeah. So, you actually influenced me on this. So whether you know it or not, we had probably 2.5 years ago, I had started up a podcast that was basically reviewing books, and some of them were industry related, some of them were personal development, that type of thing, and doing it just over Zoom. I was working out of my garage with terrible lighting, terrible audio, terrible video. And I invited you onto that show, and you were like, "Hey, I appreciate it, but I only do stuff with good quality video. Like I don't do Zoom podcasts or whatever." And I'll be honest, I was kind of pissed off.
Of course.
Like I was kind of like, who does he think he is? He's so special. And I had some people that I feel like are a pretty big deal that went on my podcast and helped me out with that. But that stuck with me, and I was like, those other people don't have tens of thousands of people subscribing to their YouTube, and they don't have, the online presence that you do. And there are many, many people out there that are doing a cell phone video while they're driving. And I'll still do that type of stuff too.
Sure.
I've got a thought comes in my head. I'm going to do a quick video or something like that. But there's a lot of competition there.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I've got some pretty good ideas, some pretty cool things to say. But there's a lot of other people out there with good ideas and good things to say. And so to kind of elevate yourself above all that competition, you could have, and I'm not saying you don't have good content, you could have lesser quality content with really good quality production, and people are going to watch it more so.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had a couple of years ago, probably a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, I was looking at redoing my online course. And everybody out there told me, oh, it doesn't matter. Shoot it with your cell phone, whatever. The information is all that matters. And that's what I had done initially. And people were like, hey, this information is great, but I feel like I'm charging, a good bit of money for it. And they just kind of it feels cheap.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, all right, I'm going to do this professionally. And I want to have the best quality production of any trainers in the roofing industry. Not like, I don't want it to be any question, is this person better, that person? No, Matt is number one, period. And so I reached out to a friend of mine that I went to college with who has a video production company, and said, hey, here's what I want to do. It's going to be this whole course and this thing. He was like, all right, cool. It'll be about $50,000. And I was like, that's a lot of money. To invest into something that everybody's telling me is not really important. And I was like, well, if I'm going to spend the $50,000, I could pay a lot of salary, and I could pay a lot of equipment costs and all that sort of stuff for $50,000. And I'm not only going to get my course, but I'm going to have somebody that can help me with marketing stuff, with, content creation around it and all that sort of stuff. And so I went that route, and it's cost me a good bit more than $50,000, but we've gotten a whole heck of a lot more out of it. And I've got John is my video guy who's sitting here adjusting audio levels and making sure everything's right. That has been just integral to our business and our growth here, because I chose to make that investment to make what I'm doing the best that I possibly can.
Love it. I want to comment on that. So my rule is 3 years. And by the way, this is the first year that I'm even doing Zoom interviews. But for first 3 years, I set up standards very high, and I would not interview anyone. Like, I don't care if if you see, like, for example, Dan Tinker, CEO of SRS, like, so many interviews, I flew to people on my own dime to interview them, but I would not do it via Zoom. Like, it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you could be, if Elon Musk would give me interview, I would hire 5 people to do that, right? Like, I'm not gonna,
Sure.
I'm not gonna sacrifice the audio video because few reasons. Number one is I make content that I like to consume. When I watch an interview, it has to be crisp. The audio has to be good, and I notice for myself if audio is shitty, if it's too picky, like high pitch voice, right? Like because that's what you get when you record an iPhone and it's 5 feet away. I don't like it. It lose my attention very quickly. But if it's a high quality, like deep microphone, right? Now I
Hmm.
can actually listen for an hour. So my standard from the day one was I'm not gonna do Zoom. I'm not gonna be like anyone else. You have to be in person in front of me, fly to me, or I will fly to you. And I'm not gonna compromise it. And for 3 years, I've said no probably to 99% of people who ask me, hey, let's do the show. Let's do it, but we have to be in the same room. And people who
Yeah.
could not come to me or I could not come to them, I wouldn't do it. You probably were one of them. And a lot of people got
Yeah.
pissed. But standard is the standard. But now time have changed. And this is what I want to tell everyone. You don't need $50,000. I would argue that you can do amazing setup for about $3,000. You need decent camera, which still can be iPhone. But invest in audio, invest in post production a little bit. So show me the B-roll, show software to create a video, good intro, good titles, good quotations. That's about it. $3,000 will make you a media company today because
Yeah.
competition is higher than ever. So 5 years ago, you can do driving in a car video and go viral. Today, no one gonna listen to you because you're asking them for attention. So here's how I look at it. So let's say, and this is how most people, by the way, do it because attention span is way less than a minute. So if you record yourself in the car, you're sending two messages. Number one, you, my listeners, are not as important for me to even stop and be precise and concise and short and sweet.
Hmm.
I'm asking you for attention, because I'm going somewhere. It's important to me. And while I'm killing this time, I'm going to record this. So you think you multitasking and you creating content at your convenience, but you're not thinking that you're asking them to stop what they're doing to listen to you. Now you're recording 30-minute video, which you probably could do in 5 minutes, right? If you
Yeah.
if you're honest with yourself, get it out. So I'm very aware of content that I create, and number one thing that I'm worried about, if I create one bad video, let's say I created that one video for 30 minutes that I could do in 5, and someone watched it and it's like, Dimitri, you wasted my time. I'm never watching you again because I create 3 to 5 videos per week. You create one video that will disappoint someone, that someone will say, you wasted my time. They never coming back for more. Like
Yeah.
every piece of content you put out has to be the best of the best, or you're going to lose that person. And that's what people don't realize. I'm not against videos in the cars driving or walking in the park. I do them too. But you have to, if I do that video, it's probably going to be 5 takes. I'll watch which one is the better. I'll start over 3 times if I don't have energy. And then I'll rewatch it. Did I do it in the shortest amount of time? Even it could be 10 minutes or 30 minutes if it's subbing story, if it's something crazy happened, but you have to think about people and your audience, and most people don't for some reason.
Yeah. We just had a video that we shot a month ago that with a client and friend of ours here that installs roofs. And he's got, I think, 90, 100 videos shot with his cell phone showing him installing stuff. Right. And very similar type stuff. And after a year, I think the best video has like 3,000 views on it. Right. And it's good stuff. It's stuff people are searching for. They want to know how to do it. He's, a craftsman at what he does. And we went out there and shot it with, we had a good Sony camera on the roof. We've got good audio, got a lav on him, got drone shots. We've got B-roll. We've got the whole thing, and put it together. And, a month in, I think we've got 110,000 views on it. And it's a 15-minute long video that has an average watch time of like almost 6 minutes.
Love it.
And the only thing that was different was the quality of the production. It was the same guy, the same type of content,
Oh, 100%.
but it was just more produced.
Sometimes it's improving little things, improve audio. It's little steps every single day that'll make big difference long term. Matt, it was absolutely awesome talking to you today. How do people find you? How do they sign up for your program? I don't like to sell on this podcast, but I feel like you bring a lot of value, and I want people to connect to you and learn more from you one-on-one.
I appreciate it, man. They can go to restorationreferralsystem.com. It's the easiest way to connect up with us. They can connect up with me on social media, and check out our YouTube as well. We're working on that.
Sure.
With your inspiration, buddy.
Love it. Thank you guys so much for your time today, for your attention. If you're in roofing industry, I hardly believe. I mean, this is getting in a storm chasing. It's not optional. You have to do insurance work. Insurance is the biggest buyer of roofs in the United States and probably Canada too. Canada's a little bit different, but insurance writes a lot of checks, billions of dollars every year. If you want to learn how to get agents referring you, reach out to Matt. If you need my help with the content, featuring your business, maybe reach out to me as well. All my contact, you know where to find me. See you guys in the next podcast.